everyone. Welcome to Fast Track on Herald Global. I am Saimik Sen. Joining us today, a former captain of Goa Port, is an esteemed maritime professional who has made significant contributions to the growth and development of the port, Captain James Braganza. Thank you so much, Captain Braganza, for taking out this time for us. Welcome to Herald Global.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the invitation.
Okay, so let me begin by asking you, what got you into maritime industry?
Yeah, my career itself started off at the age of 19 and a half when I joined shipping. And, I've initially been working started off with bulk carriers and general cargo ships. And then as an officer and eventually a captain, it's always been on oil tankers, whether it's crude tankers and petroleum, general products. And eventually, after 20 years of sailing, I quit sailing and I joined the government services. I was initially in Marmango Port Trust for about 2 years as a marine pilot. And thereafter, I got through the Goa Public Service Commission into the state government. And I was heading the ports department for about 19 years. And so my career of 40 years has been split between sailing and 20 years in government services. Yeah.
Okay, so what are the essential responsibility of the captain of the port?
Yeah, basically, I'm a captain of ports. He's sort of a registering authority. Like what an RTO is to, a director of transport does in registering cars. I basically register vessels of every category. Inland vessels and other MS vessels as well. Yeah. So the state government is headed by the captain of ports in Goa.
Okay. And what kind of challenges you have faced during your time?
Challenges, of course, in terms of development. If there is development, also there is a criticism, and if there is no development, also there was criticism.
Of course.
Development in the sense where the environment needed to be sacrificed to an extent, to have infrastructure in place like jetties and, important things like that. We had to sort of extend ourselves onto areas where there was mangroves and, so we had to sort of even for that matter, for example, dredging in certain areas were very sensitive areas, where there were a lot of shellfish and other things affected because of the dredging. But dredging was required in terms of navigation to deepen the depths in certain areas of the waterways.
Okay. So please tell us about some of the achievements which are still there with you.
When I was, of course, once you're finished with the government services, I would think you sort of retire virtually from everything. Like I was in the board of directors of tourism department, government of Goa. I was there for about 8 years on the board of directors, and of course I was on the boards of the police, Goa Police, and other agencies. And I was apart from captain of ports is basically heading 2 departments. Captain of port itself is one department. And river navigation is another department. So the departments are headed by the captain of ports. Like river navigation only is to deal with the ferries which are operating in Goa, connecting all the waterways. Whereas the ports deal with all the other inland vessels, whether it's water sports, barges, cruise vessels, casinos we have in Goa, and all the vessels coming to the Panjim port all come under the jurisdiction of the ports department.
Okay. So how did you ensure smooth operations at the port, including cargo handling and logistics?
Well, our team, of course, we have a team comprising of experienced people from the marine field. Like we've got marine engineers, we've got master mariners who comprise of the department. So we coordinate with we use the state machinery. We coordinate with the other departments, like even the Marmango Port Trust, which is a major port. We coordinate with them along with the others, like Barge Owners Association and the Mine Owners Association of Goa used to play an important role in the exports and imports in the state. They
Sure.
had their vessels, they had their cargo. So to coordinate with them, along with director of mines and director of transport, and in terms of security safety, it was the marine police, then it was the navy and coast guard who part of the team, the state government. We were an ISPS compliant port, that is International Ship Port and Security
Sure.
Code. So based on the compliance of that, we are eligible for loading cargo because we are classified as a safe port. You know, it's an IMO regulation, International Maritime Regulation, to ensure until a port is ISPS compliant, we cannot load or discharge
Okay.
cargo.
Okay.
So that was like one part which we complied with, which was quite a tedious thing. And we were more of an anchorage port for larger ships. We've had before the collapse in the mining industry, and
Yes.
exports reducing considerably way back in 2012. We've sort of touched 50 million tons going out through Goa. You know, so yeah. So the infrastructure comprising of jetties and barges and all the logistics of various types contributed, which all comes under the purview of the ports department. Yeah.
Okay. So what steps did you take to promote sustainability and minimize environmental impact on the port? You were talking about it some time back.
Yeah. No, see, essentially, any projects we did, of course, as I told you, there was an outcry from the public. Sometimes it was just the NGOs or some selfish groups, which, just to make an impact or to gain mileage. That was sort of creating barriers in smooth functioning and creating infrastructure. But whichever projects we did, we ensured that we did an environment impact assessment study. And until we got clearances from the relevant authorities, especially like Goa Coastal Zone Management Authority, which is one of the main agencies. Then we have the Goa State Pollution Control Board. These two major agencies, until they give clearances, we've not gone ahead with our projects. So then the critics had to shut their mouth. They couldn't push things further.
Okay. So you have spent so much of time in the industry. So any steps do you think the government should take for the betterment of this particular industry? Any suggestions?
Yeah, as far as the government is concerned, I mean, they should be, assisting in terms of helping the departments by, of course, there should be financial aid, because sometimes we are stretching to get in enough of finances and create a budget enough to plan our projects. Sometimes due to lack or not enough of funds, we are not able to create a budget and plan probably annually or 5 yearly at times. So even getting funds from the center and assisting would help considerably. Sometimes when the state is struggling with their finances.
Okay.
So some schemes under central schemes for port development would have been, they should be quite vital.
Okay. So as a veteran in this industry, that's the reason I ask you this. Recently, there was an incident of the Titan submersible, which just drowned with 5 passengers inside. What is your take? Why do you think it happened like that?
See, whatever I've read out of it, and of course, being a mariner myself, I read that it was not registered with any authentic authority. So, that itself speaks a little about it. Like, probably if a relevant authority who is able to certify it in terms of stability, in terms of structurally, I'm sure it would hold on to. I don't think this disaster could have probably happened. So the person probably, I'm told, just the builder and what team he had. The very fact it is not registered authentically speaks a little differently about it.
So how that even possible in today's time? It's pretty, because it's not registered, and
Yeah,
they
I mean,
ferry passengers.
if you do not register, of course, in the maritime industry, and if something of this sort, the authority himself will be hanged first. So
Okay,
it
so
is rather strange that how it was allowed to go on a voyage.
do you have any knowledge or information that something like this somebody is trying out here itself in India?
Not at all. Nothing is, no. I don't think we've got adventurous people of that caliber here.
Sure. Okay, so how did you adapt to technological advancement and ensure the port remained competitive?
In terms of infrastructure, yes. I mean, like as I told you, to ensure that the vessel, the barges specifically, which are carrying the transporting the iron ore or coal from the hinterland, where it is from the mines, it generally comes by trucks up to that part, and from there to the jetty onto the ship is being transported by barges. We ensure that these barges, which are registered with us, primarily are seaworthy at all times, fit in
Sure.
condition. So to ensure that there are no breakdowns, or and there is any time delays. Another factor is to by dredging vital points where sometimes they had to wait for high tide. Until then, they could not have a smooth transition passage. So dredging those areas, ensuring seaworthiness and fitness of these vessels,
Okay.
minimize all these things had helped us in the turnaround of the loading and discharging, and the times of loading and discharging were reduced considerably, and hence the exports and imports.
Okay. So please tell us about some of the valuable lessons that you've learned throughout the course of your career.
Valuable lessons in the sense, yes. I mean, sailing on a ship is a different experience, and working in a government outfit, and as an administrator or as a technocrat is a total different game altogether. It's like you're on the other side of the fence virtually, and it gives you its own experience, and it's like you're using, they say for exams you probably you study you probably study 100%, but when you actually apply it, you probably apply just 30%, when you actually work somewhere.
Sure.
It's something like that here in this in the sarkari job I was. Shipping was probably 20-30%, and the rest 70% was my attending court cases or attending inquiries or fighting out with the RTI activists and with the critics, and all those characters was 70%. So that has taught me a huge thing, how to basically battle your seat and be in that position. And of course, the other guys can't mention that.
Okay, so lastly, what would be your advice to the people who aspire to come in this industry, maritime industry?
Yeah, it's a very good industry. It's a very good industry to start with. I mean, there is a huge scope. There is a lot of things which you can look forward to. It's like shipping itself is a very broad industry. 90% of the trade, as the statistics go, 90% of the trade internationally is by shipping. So
Sure.
that itself speaks that there's so much of scope for, in terms of trading, in terms of chartering, in terms of job absorption, and more so for Indian seafarers. There is a huge scope because we've been doing well over the years. Hence, Indian seafarers are well recognized. We compete among the best in the world in terms of salaries and in terms of performance technically. So I suggest a lot of people from the fraternity or the Indians should aspire to make a career in the merchant navy and merchant shipping related activities.
Okay. So thank you so much, Captain Braganza. It was lovely talking to you. It was very informative.
Okay. Thank you so much.